welcome back to Corner Cafe, and this is our entertainment feature. And we have Kevin Flannagan back on the show, and he's with The Edge. Hey, welcome back, Kevin.
Well, it's great to be back. I always look forward to being at the Corner Cafe. I feel like I should have a nice mug of coffee and maybe a cinnamon roll or something, but it is always fun to be with you. And I say that like I've been on. I've been on once, but I have dipped in and out a few times, so I feel like I'm a regular.
You are a regular, especially in our hearts. We have fond memories of having you on the show, and we like seeing the interaction with social media. We love everything that you're doing. So we'll just, ask you back more often because you are doing a lot. So The Edge, for our listeners who aren't familiar with your umbrella organization, if you will, and how you got started into film, and now you have an app. So just kind of go into that, everything that you're doing, which is a lot, but kind of give us a little background.
Sure. So The Edge is a nonprofit you talked about. And the purpose of The Edge is pretty simple. People can go to betheedge.com and check us out. But The Edge essentially exists to help business leaders, business influencers, folks like you who are in the communication and entertainment arena, as well as folks who run a shoe store, or we have some corporations with thousands of employees. It's to help them figure out how to most effectively take their faith into their workspace, how to influence their corporate environment for the kingdom. And, boy, it's a blast. It's amazing how many folks out there love Jesus, go to work every day, and want to know how do they take him with them most effectively. Not everybody takes him, but there are ways to do it effectively and ways to do it ineffectively. And so we work with them to figure out how God made them, how he created them, and then what it is they do and how to bring those together. A lot of folks instantly think of Chick-fil-A, as an example, or In-N-Out, or Scott. Some of the companies are well known for doing that. But what they don't think of is companies like Intel and Procter & Gamble, whose CEOs actually are committed believers and are starting to take hire chaplains for their workplaces or things like that. So we try to tell folks that God created one Truett Cathy with Chick-fil-A, and he didn't create you to be Truett. First, you're not him, and second, you're not selling fried chicken. So it's how do we figure out who he created you to be, and then how you take your faith. So that's kind of a rambling starting to get into there, but I get excited. I get very empowered by that. The movie, actually, Love Goes Public, is a great example of someone who takes her faith into her marketplace, workspace, incredibly effectively and very naturally with how God created her and what he's called her to do every day. And so she walks on those campuses still, by the way, Rachel, she is still walking on to Booker T. Washington, which is one of the schools featured in the documentary, Love Goes Public, and still does that. So she's a shining example of what The Edge is encouraging folks to be about.
Yes, I love the mission of The Edge. Because people can feel intimidated in a work environment. I mean, here at the radio station, we're all Christian. It's a family, It's a beautiful work environment here. But I have worked in other environments where I am maybe just the only Christian, or maybe there's just a couple. And we do need that guidance to know how to share our faith. So give me an example of someone who comes to you and asks for your help on how to navigate that within the work environment.
Absolutely, and there are a ton, but one of my favorites was early on in this ministry, when I took the role to kind of shepherd it, I had a young insurance agent come to me, pretty new in the business, came in and he said, "Hey, my boss is asking me to backdate a policy." And I said, "Is that bad?" I knew nothing about it. Said,
right.
That's illegal. I said, "Well, okay, that's bad." He said, "I don't know what to do. I don't feel I should do it as a believer, but if I tell my boss no, I'll probably lose my job." And I started to tell him what I thought he ought to do, and then I realized, you know what? I've got a friend who's involved with the ministry who has been in the insurance world for 30 years. Strong, committed believer, vice president of a huge insurance company. So I got with him, and I said, "Hey, Bob, I've got this kid asking me this. What should I tell him?" He said, "Tell him don't do it." So I said, "Well, yeah, easy for me to say." He said, No. Tell him don't do it. It's not worth it." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. Why don't you tell?" So I got the two together, which is a lot of what The Edge does, is connect people within industries an older mentor who's been there down that road who can say, here's what you will encounter. Here's how we recommend in your faith you would encounter. And this is why. And, boy, they built a great relationship. The kid kept his job. His boss is watching him shine as salt and light in the midst of their company and easing toward the kingdom himself. And so that's an example of one of the elements of what we do. The Edge, we have a weekly call that folks call into for 5 minutes where they're challenged by somebody within the corporate environment about how to take their faith to work. We have an app, which I mentioned with you before, called The Edge Daily, and it markets nothing, it sells nothing, it promotes nothing. Every day we get a verse out of Proverbs from whatever day that is. So today is the 14th, and they're written daily. They're fresh from that day. So today we had a Proverbs 14, verse 3, and it challenged folks around that proverb in a short devotion how to take their faith into their world that day, and then it closes with another verse that kind of ties it all together. That's all it does. Folks can download the Edge Daily from whatever app store they use, Android, Apple, whatever. I don't know all that stuff. But anyway, that's one thing we do. We do the call, and then we connect them with mentors. We do iron sharpening, iron luncheons, where they just come in and they say, I'm facing this challenge at work. What would you do, or what have you done, or here's some things. It's just a great time, and we typically pull in folks. Mark Whitaker from the movie The Informant. Mark was
awesome.
played by Matt Damon in that movie. Mark would be a great interview,
yes,
too, by the way.
Yeah.
But Mark has shared at our iron sharpenings, and then we do a huge outreach breakfast where these guys can bring people from their workplaces, or their vendors, or their customers, and just bring them, and we challenge them about the faith that they try to show in the work. Now, it also puts some accountability on that person, because the minute they identify with the Edge, people are watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to see that they use a faithful measure, that they speak no falsehood.
Right.
The stuff out of Proverbs. And our foundational verse is Proverbs 27:17 is iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And we essentially, matter of fact, we got the wristbands that say that. But again, everything
I love
we have
it.
is free. Yeah,
I love that.
It's just to remind us, or it's a conversation starter, where folks say, "What's that?" And we say, well, "That's an old Jewish proverb that basically tells us that God wants us all to help each other be better people."
Right. Oh,
and then we know that being better people starts with a relationship with Jesus,
right,
getting in the right place with God. But it's a conversation starter. So we're at the work, and we advise everything. Sometimes our counsel is to a boss, "Hey, buy a pizza for 4 or 5 of your folks on Friday, have lunch, and get to know them."
Right.
Just no hidden agenda. So lots of, you can see I get pretty passionate about what we do. I worked with teenagers for 40 years, and I shifted a number of years ago to this ministry because I realized if you want to reach somebody's kid long-term, you reach the parent.
Right.
You reach that parent, they become the minister, the pastor, the salt and light in that home.
Right.
You can impact that child for a lifetime. So
right.
I gotta go rambling again, but that's kind of how we work.
Well, that's exciting. So unique too. How do people get involved in this group? Because I'm thinking, I want to be in this group. How do people reach out to you, and how do you accept people? Because I'm sure you can only handle so many, because it is a mentorship group.
It is. We have the broad outreach stuff. A lot of folks get involved through the funnel of the Daily Proverb through the app, and they connect with us that way. Some get involved through the big breakfast outreaches or the iron sharpening luncheons, which are much smaller. We actually, April, have folks involved now from Kenya,
wow,
from the Gambia. Now, the Gambia folks got involved through the movie. The movie's actually now playing in the Gambia and Sierra Leone. I got pictures today of a crowd of young people watching Love Goes Public in Sierra Leone. So, but those ways, but the easiest way is the website. BeTheEdge.com is how you connect with us. And you just reach out there, and I will personally respond to every outreach from there and connect folks at whatever level they'd like to be. We're moving into new cities this year. We're moving into Nashville, Atlanta, Tampa, Orlando. So those are where we're headed. But Denver is high on our list because we've got a lot of business influencers who are saying we want it here. And actually, we have people involved, as I mentioned, all over the world, where we haven't set up an official The Edge chapter or anything. We don't do that. Because two distinctives are, Rachel, we give away what we got and we're free.
Right.
Nothing. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we buy the lunch, we put on the breakfast, we do. It's all. We don't care if you're a billionaire business person or you're one person starting your own operation. We want everybody to have equal access to the Edge ministry. I believe the gospel is free.
Right.
We do have some businesses that support us, who's about 5 actually. By the way, if you like Domino's Pizza, they are our largest supporter. Eat some Domino's.
Really? But, okay. We have to support them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they help us. They want us to go. Just encourage folks to be the kind of companies that they are, and
right.
The faith is influencing what they do.
That's amazing. So, hopefully you will get started here in Denver. So what would that look like for the folks here in Denver? Would it be a monthly lunch and then weekly calls, or how does the structure work?
So right now, anybody anywhere in the world can be a part of the daily devotional. They can grab the app, the Edge Daily. They can also join the call every Thursday. It's early out there. It's 7:50 to 7:55. It's 5 minutes, and they just roll over, dial into the Zoom number. It's right on the front of the website, edge.com. They can see it right there. It says join the call, and click on it. Be in it for 5 minutes, and click out. Nobody has to use the camera if they don't want to be seen that early in the morning. They join us there, and then beyond that, when we move into the Denver area, they let us know they're there and they're interested. Then we will communicate with them as we move into their city, as we start to head that way. And we invite them to be a part, again, of the breakfast, but also the lunches, which are small, so they fill up fast. And it's called Iron Sharpening Lunches because it's truly business leaders just making each other better at what God's called them to do. They're kind of random. They kind of go monthly to quarterly to every 2 or 3 weeks. It's what the city would like.
Right.
Huge demand in the Atlanta and Auburn, Alabama, where I am area. But it kind of lights up fast. So we're hanging on to the tail end of a rocket ship that's blasting off all over the place, which is fun.
Yeah, this is a much-needed thing, quite honestly. And any way that I can help to get the group here in Denver and be a part of it, definitely reach out to me. But this is something that a lot of people crave, is just that fellowship and mentorship, especially in the business world, to have a team behind them, because it's a ministry that's very challenging. It can be challenging as a Christian in the business world. So to have other people like-minded cheering you on is just amazing. So I love everything that you guys are doing.
And I discovered that when someone says we want to be a part of the Edge, because you asked about joining, they already are the Edge, because they desire to do that. God's going to honor that desire. They're already saying, I want to be better at it, which is great. We all want to be better at it.
Right.
Billy Graham, before he died, said that the next great awakening will take place in the workplace. And we believe that. It's not, he didn't say in the church, he didn't say in government, and they're all important, but he said in the workplace. And we're seeing that happen. There are CEOs and leaders of businesses like Intel, like Procter & Gamble, like Coke Consolidated, the largest Coke distributor in the country, has a whole division that only it's set up. It's called T-Factor, that all it does is help empower business leaders to take their faith to work. So,
wow.
It's a great partner. So he's moving. Rachel, I do want to mention, because the movie connected us in the first place.
Yes.
LoveGoesPublic.com right now is a great place to go and get the movie to watch it. You know, you can see it at Netflix and all those places, but 100% of what they do there benefits the movie and the school and the kids. So we're pushing folks to go to the website to see the documentary with Berlinda and Kraft.
Yeah, and it's an amazing film, life-changing. And I just wonder how things are holding up with COVID and all that whole process with the kids there. I'm certain that you talked to her a lot. Any new updates regarding that?
Yeah, and we're real engaged there. We have a division, as you said, a lot of hats, called Youth First, that does the Club True North at those schools that you can see in the movie. But she's doing great. The kids are doing great. They're back in school. They're maskless now. They're having and you know what? That school I watch, Tuskegee, if you follow the news on this, the Tuskegee experiments, the African American community is very hesitant to take a shot of vaccine given by the government. There's just that history. They have been great at getting their folks engaged and taking care of themselves with Apple, keeping them healthy. It was pretty hard hit early on in Macon County, which is right down the road here. But they're doing great. She's doing great. Her faith is still influencing it. She's had some staff turnover in a positive direction. Kids still love her, and kids are coming to Jesus, and they're graduating. They're going to college. They're going into work. It's just what you see in the movie is still carrying on, and she's built an even stronger years of foundation now where every kid that comes in knows who she is, what she's about, the parents support her. Just got a new superintendent. We're hoping that she actually gained some support from that level.
Right.
But she's doing great. I know she would have loved to have been on here tonight, but, she goes to every extracurricular activity the school does, even if it's 3 or 4. She's their biggest cheerleader. And so she is tied up. They just had a great run in basketball, and now they're playing baseball and softball and all the things that you want to see kids involved in.
Right. It's a beautiful story, and she's such a beautiful spirit. So we'll catch up with her in the future. But I do want to ask, before we wrap up this interview, do you have plans for another film?
You know what? We actually have a couple of films in store. One we're working on, actually, it's hard to designate. 3 of them we're working on. But one is, the movie was really big in the Gambia, in Africa, which is 95% Muslim. And it just flew through the school system. A guy took it there and got a projector and started hitting the schools, and it exploded, worked its way up the government chain all the way to the Minister of Education, who's one of the few Christians in leadership in that country. Her story is just mind-boggling. So they have asked us to come and look at doing her story. So that's one. Yeah, that's one that's on the list. We also want to turn Belinda's story, Love Goes Public, into a feature film. And so we're working on, all these things. All they lack is funding, right?
Yes.
And then we've got another one about an athlete, a young man who was in a neighborhood in Louisiana. His mom died. He was living by himself in a house with no water. It's just a phenomenal backstory. Came to Jesus because of a drug dealer in his community.
Wow.
And took that faith and ended up playing college ball, was a star, ended up in the NFL. So anyway, great sports story about faith influencing a kid in a really hard and really dark place. And we've got a couple more we're pretty excited about. So lots of, matter of fact, Mark Whitaker from The Informant would like us to do the true story. The Informant, they turned into a comedy and really cheapened the faith and left the faith out. Soderbergh didn't want to touch the faith part. So we're looking at the faith story. There's 3 or 4 of those we call the Cutting Room Floor series, which are movies that were made that have a powerful faith element that was ignored. And so those folks want to see us bring that story to the screen. So we're looking at making a lot of those happen.
Wow. Well, you're a busy guy. I don't know how you keep it all straight, but I'm excited for all that, and we'll have you back to talk about all those. So thanks for keeping in touch with us, Kevin. It's a pleasure, and just love everything you're doing, and you have a sweet spirit as well, and very encouraging spirit. And I want to get this thing here happening in Denver, so let's make that happen, okay?
We sure will, and thanks for what you guys do. I love that you give a voice to so much of what the Lord's doing around the country and in entertainment and other places. So, yeah, we look forward to the Edge connecting with Corner Cafe.
Absolutely, yeah. And we feel blessed to be able to do what we do, and just an honor that the Lord would even use us in such capacity. So, like yourself, we're just here saying, okay, Lord, what do you have us to do? And we just want to be obedient to that and to share the message for sure. So, well, Kevin, as always, a pleasure. We're going to have you back, and hey, keep us informed with everything. And I'll be sharing some of this stuff too on our social media as I see that you post more information.
Sounds great. All right, Rachel. Well, be blessed.
You too. Well, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back though with our nonprofit feature. Stay tuned.